We were a young team that hadn't had much success. We'd lost 10 games on the bounce. You want to play in your home stadium. It was incredible. It was like being a rock star. I think it was the artery in my calf had been severed and it was just pumping blood into my calf. I didn't want to let the team down because I knew I wasn't fit. There was a chance I was never going to play again.
Right, welcome to Jonathan X, where I'm joined by Welsh legend, Grand Slam winner and 8th top try scorer, Tom Shanklin. That's quite good. 8th top try scorer, Shank. That's good, isn't it?
It keeps going down. At one stage it was 5th, but then obviously all the boys coming through now. It just depends whether you count Barbars tries, because I scored a hat-trick against the Barbars. But
you should.
If they create a Barbars game for Martin Williams to get his 100th cap, it should count for me.
I scored that. I scored that try against Hawke's Bay as well, and they don't count that in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Hawke's Bay's a bit different to the Barbars, isn't it?
In New Zealand, though.
All right,
That's tough, isn't it?
Fair enough.
Well, I claim any try I could, because I only had 5 for Wales on international.
20 tries, yeah. So
that's good going, mate.
That's all right. Equal with Gareth Edwards and Jonathan Davies.
Yeah, just don't say 8, just say equal with
Yeah, okay, yeah, fine.
that's all you need to say, mate. That's all you need to say. Obviously, you played in the good times, but we've all had bad times as well. But at the moment, it just seems to be really bad, and I don't know, it's just where we're at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, well, look, Jeff, I played in bad times as well. I think I was involved in a 10-game losing streak for Wales before. We beat Scotland before we went to the World Cup, I think, in 2003. And that was a pre-World Cup warm-up game. And that was the first time we'd won in, I think, 10 games. So we have been through dark times, but we were competitive. And we had a young team, and it was a team that had a lot of potential. But we were young and inexperienced.
Yeah, and I think the problem is you look at it, because I think the points have been spoken about and touched by everyone. It's maybe the neglect of age groups.
Yeah.
Because I still think there's a lot of skill there. And the money, I think they've got to pour the money into the pathways now, because we can forget about maybe the regions for the next few years. They've got to strengthen Emma first, so it's going to be really tough. And when you were playing, the regions were quite strong, so there was always going to have a little bit of hope there. It looks like we're going to bounce back.
Yeah, completely, mate. Look, we are where we are with the players we've got. I think Steve Tandy is the right choice. I think if we had Razia Rasmussen, it wouldn't change the Welsh team.
Because it's what we've got to work with, isn't it? The players. So yeah, you've got to give Steve Tandy time, because he's going to come in if he doesn't win no games. And the fixture list that we've got, they've got 6 nations, and then we got South Africa and Argentina away. Yeah. Next November. It doesn't get easy for players.
Not at all. And the system's broken. The system isn't really, the regions and the 4 professional teams and the international team Wales. The system is producing players, and you're right, mate. That's where all the funding should go.
And you can forget the 25 cap rule now.
Yep.
Forget everything. Get youngsters coached well. Get them to strengthen the regions. If we don't win games for the next couple of years, the regions, well, Cardiff started well, so we just got to go with it.
Well, we don't want to have this same conversation in 10 years' time, do we?
Not the last thing we want, and we know as players, there's nothing worse than putting a red jersey on and then, getting defeated.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your early career, because we talk about pathways, and development. Yours was different, because where did you start playing rugby and how old were you?
I think I was around probably 11 or 12, and it was at Tenby. I've still got a little plaque up there, my little registration card. I've got a shirt up there next to my dad's, because that was his first club as well.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. I was quite a looker when I was young.
I'm not sure about that one. No, I've never.
I had hair.
But that's nice, because I wanted to play for Tramsaren, and I wanted to be captain of Tramsaren and put my name on the board by my dad's, but unfortunately it never happened. So it must be nice. So when did you, because you moved away to the Saracens, how did that all come about? And talk me through your early kind of rugby education then.
Yeah, so Tenby was the first club, and that was sort of junior level, Tenby Swifts. And then moved back to London then when I was about 15. And started playing for a local club, which was Effingham, where I moved to. And then I sort of outgrew that team a little bit. And to be fair to my dad, he sort of realised this. And he said, well, look, if you want to progress a little bit further, you probably will have to move teams. So I ended up moving to London Welsh then. And there was quite a bit of travel involved in that. It was nearly an hour each
Was
way.
you North London then, were you?
I was South London,
South
but
London,
yeah,
with traffic is.
yeah, traffic, exactly, is a nightmare. And then sort of went up through 15s, 16s, 17s, and then sort of progressed into the seconds, progressed into the first team. But alongside that as well, they had a really good Welsh Exiles team as well.
Yeah.
The Welsh Exiles would play all over sort of the country, and a lot of it was back in Wales, so you get seen a little bit there by Welsh selectors, and obviously it did help having a surname like Shanklin.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
But was it a help or was it a hindrance?
I was always son of Jim for a long time.
I know.
And people still call me Jim. I know you've done it a few times, and
Well,
Gareth Jenkins has a few times.
I used to watch your dad play, right? When I watched the great 70s side with Llanelli, one of the biggest games of the year, London Welsh on Boxing Day. You look at that team your dad played in. JPR, Gerald, Clive Rees,
John Dawes,
Shanklin, Dawes. I think Neil Bennett was Saraf.
Merv the Swerve,
Jeff Roberts. It just had an amazing size. For them to come down and for us to watch them play against a great Llanelli side was brilliant. So, London Welsh in them days were such a classy side.
Yeah, but they were second division when I was there. But there was some great players there. There was Andy Courier. Remember him?
Andy Courier went there then.
Yeah.
Then Roland Phillips.
Roland Phillips was the captain. He was my first captain.
Clive Griff, the coach.
Yeah, he was there.
Was he Roland Phillips your captain?
Yeah.
So you played with Andy Courier?
Yes. Yeah.
That's mad, that
He was, mate, honestly, he was big, he was fast, but he could only run like an outside break one way.
Lazy though.
Yeah, because of rugby league. He would only run an outside break right to left. But he was huge.
He was on £5 a kicking with us because he couldn't concentrate. It's mad, like.
Yeah.
Did you always play centre wing?
Yeah. I mean, I first started off as 15, and then a bit like...
What were you kicking like?
Yeah. No, you just want to get more involvements in the game. I did have a bit of pace when I was younger, so then you could be used on the wing as well. And I think progression to men's rugby, it's a nice place to start on the wing, isn't it? Because it's less physical.
Yeah.
And you don't have to
tackle a big boy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, although you're a big boy.
Yeah, well, I wasn't then.
So when did the move to Saracens come then?
And I had the option to go in 1998, but I'd just broken into the first team at London Welsh, and I thought, well, that's probably going to be better development for me to play a little bit more senior rugby. Yeah. Then the option was still there the following year, and I thought, well, I might as well do it. I might as well try it. And I was at university as well at the same time at Brunel University, and there was a few youngsters my age that were also at the university. And I thought, I could probably try and combine the both. So I went in 1999.
You would have been approached by England and Wales then, in your development.
Yeah.
You had to make a call. How did you come about that?
It was around 2000, the year 2000. We've been playing, obviously, for the first team. And then, as I said, your name gets noticed a little bit, in the papers, in the highlights. It's not quite like it is now. Rugby isn't or wasn't as accessible as it is now.
Yeah. Just
out of the blue, I had a call from Clive Woodward, and he was very polite and was just asking if I wanted to be involved in the 2000 Six Nations squad for England. And,
Well, you were full-time pro then?
Yeah.
You were full-time pro,
yeah. University had gone, I deferred. Clive rung, and it threw me a little bit, and I said, look, you're going to have to leave it with me.
Yeah.
And then I sort of, you seek advice, and spoke to my dad. Yeah. I spoke to Francois Pinard, and he was like, you go with England. But that was commercially.
Commercially,
yeah. Even though I was born in England, I always felt Welsh because I lived the majority of my childhood in Wales. My father played for Wales. All the family still lived there. Once word got round, Graham Henry then gave me a call. I got invited into the training camp with Wales, and then played, at the time it was Wales A.
Yeah.
And then that was the pathway through to a senior cap. So, it was, it took me by surprise when Clive called, but it didn't really feel right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose.
You've got to go with your heart.
I think you have to. I've never been in that position, right? Because, I've always I was born and bred in Wales, never moved out of Wales. But then I played for Great Britain, being rugby league, and I was patriotic to the British. I've never been able to understand people who are born and bred and 100% one nationality, and then they can play, would want to play for someone else. I can understand commercially because you can't get in New Zealand side, you can't get in the England side, you can't get in South African side. If I can get in somewhere else, that's the opportunity to play international rugby, I think.
Yeah.
There must be a little bit of like regret, I couldn't actually make it for my own.
Yeah, maybe.
nation.
And I suppose a team now you'd look at might be Scotland with with a few of the South Africans and the Australians they've got. But they're doing okay at the moment.
They've got the best academy in the world. It's called South Africa. So, yeah.
The Springboks.
So you made your debut, Six Nations, France, 2002. Well, it says it wasn't your first Welsh cap, so. You played against Japan? Did that count as a cap or something? So it wasn't your debut, was it?
No, it was my Six Nations debut in 2002, which I think was also my father's debut years before against France. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
That's weird, isn't it?
But no, I got capped in 2001 on the summer tour to Japan. So the Lions were playing in Australia. I got called up. Trevor James, a phone call from him, who was Welsh team manager. And I just thought, this is wicked. It's a great experience for me. Didn't think I'd get capped. Just wanted to go along. Just wanted to try and play, to try and get in a team, to try and play midweek. Didn't think anything of it. Never been to Japan before. It was the first.
Cultural difference.
Yeah, huge. But it was incredible.
But you nearly didn't play, did you? Because you had a nasty injury to your calf. Tell us about that.
I don't know exactly how it came about, but I've obviously taken a knock on my calf during some sort of contact training, and then. 5 minutes later, I couldn't walk properly on it. I was limping around, and everyone thought I was, just being a bit wet. But when you've hurt yourself. Yeah. I had to leave training, hobble off the pitch. Went in to see the physios, and they sort of knew something was seriously up as well, because, I was in a lot of pain. And, fair play to Nigel Rowe, who was the physio at Saracens at the time. They sent me straight away for like a dynamic ultrasound, which is, essentially what pregnant women have, to see what was going on in my calf. And they could see, I think it was the artery in my calf had been severed, and it was just pumping blood into my calf. So they realised straight away something was up. I had to go straight away to another hospital.
You couldn't see anything from the outside?
No. So they sent me to the hospital where everyone had operations, which was in, I think it was Princess Grace, North London Hospital. A surgeon, a doctor called Faris Haddad, looked at it straight away and said, right, we're going to have to operate now. He was putting pins into my foot, nothing. Okay. Oh, nice. So I had a big operation. I had to slice me down both sides of my shin, repair the artery. I was in the hospital for basically a week.
Oh yeah, how long were you out for then?
As soon as it healed, it was fine. So it probably took about 3 or 4 weeks then to heal. Just had to play with a shin pad for a little bit, but thankfully the quick thinking of the physios and the doctors, because that's when you can get gangrene in your leg. So
a couple of questions about getting your home debut, I suppose, right? That's the big one. When you're away in Japan, it's brilliant, but you still want to wait till you get home, don't you?
Yeah,
the main one.
Yeah, it's the stadium, isn't
it?
Run out, it's the Millennium Stadium at the time. The noise, the home ground. Japan was great.
Yeah,
but. The big thing is you want to play in your home stadium, don't you? You want to know what it feels like to walk out there, the noise, the crowd, the smell.
That's what you miss now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. More than you don't want to play anymore.
No.
You look at them and go, oh, no,
I would right now. I'd like to turn up for the anthems.
Walk out and walk back in.
Yeah, and go to the pub, watch the rugby.
Well, we'll do our Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
In those days, how did you find out?
I had a phone call from Trevor James, and this was the second game into the campaign. So Graham Henry was still coach in 2002. They played Ireland away, and they got hammered. Yeah. And then Graham Henry ended up leaving. Steve Hansen was in charge of the Welsh team, and I came in and played in the centre with Andy Marinos.
Where were you when you got the call, right?
It was in a coffee shop.
Where?
In North London.
There we are.
Yeah, in Enfield. I remember it.
And who did you ring first?
Father, then mother, and then anyone that'd take the call.
I'm in. How did you find that, first game?
Nervous, really nervous.
I'm the same, because I like Jinx. Neil Jenkins always kind of gets sick, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He always gets sick all the time. I didn't really get it, but I got so nervous every game.
Yeah.
It's weird in the change room.
And it was even worse because I didn't really know that many people in the team either. Because I was playing in obviously an English league, and everyone else was playing in Wales, and there was Craig and Scott Cornell were both in the team. Kevin Morgan was there, Rob Howley, Stephen Jones. All these legends. And I was sort of a bit like stuck in the headlights.
You weren't quiet, were you?
A little bit.
Never quiet.
I know.
I've never seen you being quiet.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, maybe it's glad they didn't know you, to be honest. You fitted in better, so.
Exactly.
So what was it?
Don't be yourself, and they'll like you.
Yeah, that's it there. Was it like, again, we've mentioned it, was it everything you dreamt of, like, you know, it's, the whole experience, and game goes quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, it was, because you're running out there, and even though you've been capped, it felt more of a cap to play in your home stadium in a Six Nations game, not a summer tour where you know you're losing 10 players to the Lions. This was Wales's at the time strongest team to play France, and obviously in a historic fixture, like all the Six Nations games are. But it was incredible. It wasn't. I didn't play particularly well at all, but it was just nice and a great experience to play a game at the Millennium Stadium, a game in a Six Nations tournament, and a game against France.
Was your family there, and did you sing the anthem? Cause some people belt it out, and some people can't sing it because they get too emotional, don't they?
I haven't got the greatest voice, as you know.
No,
so
actually.
it's actually
the worst ever I've heard.
It's like someone's been strangled.
That's why he doesn't sing. That's why he never sing. No,
that's why I'd never ever go next to like Alan Wynne-Jones in the anthems.
No,
I'd have to go somewhere where someone can sing.
Mime it out, son.
Yeah,
that's what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Just mime it out.
Dowie Lake now has taken it to another level, isn't he?
Yeah.
Swallows the crowd.
How long did it take you you said you didn't play particularly well the first game. How long did you take to feel comfortable?
It takes a while, and I think this is why you need a little bit of patience with people and youngsters or inexperienced people that have just got capped, because it is completely different. You're playing in front of 70 to 80,000 people. When you play in your home stadium, you've got 4,000 or 5,000. The quality is, the speed of the game is better.
That's done in Welsh.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes a bit of time, but I think around after the World Cup in 2003, I think I became a bit more accustomed and a bit more confident in maybe my own ability, but also playing in front of big crowds and stadiums. And I think 2004 was when I actually started to think, I feel comfortable now. You start to enjoy it, don't you? Because it must have been the same with you, the first few caps, you're a little bit nervous, but then actually, when you get used to that, the noise,
pace of the game,
the pace, you love it by the end, don't you?
Yeah. Right, this year's is the 20-year celebration from the 2005 Grand Slam. I remember that day vividly. Beautiful day, walking to Cardiff, right? I don't think I'd ever experienced such an atmosphere from both sets of fans, right? And the anticipation, the weather, everyone is out singing, right? And of course, we hadn't won a Grand Slam for 20-odd years, right?
Yeah.
It seemed to me being the perfect scenario thing. And I kind of felt, I never felt that we weren't going to win it, which is kind of a weird feeling, because we hadn't really smashed everyone along the way. It was just a weird day, a fantastic day.
The way we started off the tournament by beating England 11-9, we sort of got better and better and better as it went on. And the turning point was the France game. Second half in the France game, and Maen Williams ended up scoring 2 tries. We played against Scotland a couple of weeks later, and that was a walk in the park at the time. We just blitzed them in the first half. And then you're right, everything was set up perfectly for that final game. The weather in March was stunning. It was T-shirt weather. Yeah. And on the bus, because you get the bus in from the Vale Hotel, and when you get to sort of the turn-off by Leckwith, and you start to see fans walking from there. Because you never see that normally. No. But looking back now, when you actually see how big the crowds were, it was incredible, because all outside City Hall, that there was big screens, it was full. The
town was set up perfectly. Yeah. And, that was just before, that was before the game. So you must have noticed, like, this is big. But you knew this is big because, we hadn't won it for such a long time. When did you think, you said against France, but against Ireland, going into that game, you looked very composed, you and the side. And, it was if, right, okay, we're going to do this, we'll do it our way, we'll build pressure. I think the Gethin Jenkins try was a little bonus. Yeah. Do you claim an assist for that try?
Yeah, I do. Of course I do. I had 2 assists that day. Still didn't get man of the match.
Who won man of the match?
Dwayne Peel. I've never forgiven him. Well, I've never forgiven Brian Moore for giving it man of the match. But yeah, I ended up losing the ball in the wide channel in contact. Brian O'Driscoll stripped it from me. The ball gets recycled, goes out to O'Gara, who tries to kick it, and Gethin...
Did you plan that in training?
Yeah. It's like the Barbars try that Gareth Edwards scored.
That's what,
planned in training.
But that's a bit. But they're the try. Kevin Morgan's try, which is seal it, right?
Yeah.
You come on a great angle, didn't you?
Yeah. It was.
Was that a planned move or just read it?
Yeah, no, it was. You'd run a move, and the move, like all moves nowadays, you've got different options, and I still maintain, Stephen Jones is the brains behind that, because you run an angle, and he'll either give it to you or not. So he's the one that's actually got to, pick the right option.
But you got to run the hole, haven't you?
You do have to run the hole, but the hardest thing that's the easier thing, I think. You run a hole, you pick a hole, but the hardest thing is being able to split second to be able to decide, is this ball going to cross him? Is it going to him?
Yeah.
And he delivered it, and there might, you panic a little bit because you get through and you think, right, space. And I throw the ugliest pass ever to Kevin Morgan. I'm just glad it goes on my hands.
That's what I was thinking. I think it was meant to be that day.
Yeah.
Something like that sticks. Charged down with Gethin Jenkins. It was. Where does that rank in? Because you went on to be far more successful again. Where does that first one rank?
Number one. It's the top of the list.
Yeah.
It's the top of the list because of the 27 years of no Grand Slams and where we'd come from as well. Because we were a young team that hadn't had much success. We'd lost 10 games on the bounce, prior to 2003. And then all of a sudden then, the youngsters, the Dwayne Peels, Stephen Jones, Mark Jones, Gav Hensons.
Mark Taylor, you said, wasn't really involved, was he?
No. I think this was incredible what he did, because we lost Rhys Williams and Hal Luscombe, both who played during that tournament on the wing.
Yeah.
Both were injured. So we had no wingers going into this final game against Ireland. And I remember saying to Scott Johnson, look, I think it's best if I play on the wing and Mark Taylor plays in the centre, because Mark Taylor is a centre. And they said...
Good call.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was responsible.
It's not all about you. It's
No,
about the team,
exactly. Yeah, it is. I mean, look, we just want to be part of history.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you play, but everyone wants to be in that team. And Scott Johnson said, look, I think it's best we stick with you and Gav in the centre because the partnership is working, and I think we'll put Mark Taylor on the wing. He wasn't even allowed to warm up because we didn't want Ireland to know. So Rhys Williams pulled his calf, had to go out and warm up and hobbling around.
Oh, he'd have loved that.
Yeah, waving and clapping. Point, wave, clap. We unleashed tails then for the anthems.
That would be an amazing quiz question, mine.
Yeah.
Not many people will get that.
No.
I remember, the euphoria, and I was with Eddie Butler at the time, right? And we'd commentated on some bad times, but then to be there and witness it, it was just fantastic, right? After the game was mental for just us, right?
Yeah.
What was it like for you? How did you go?
We were shepherded away a little bit. We had...
Thankfully.
Yeah, because it was just mad. I remember we got clapped into the Hilton, which was where the after-match function was. So crowds were just everywhere. I think people knew that's where we have our after-match function. So they were just waiting outside there. It was incredible. It was like being a rock star. And we get clapped into there, and then we go back to the Crochet Arms, which was the Brains Brewery pub, which I don't think's there anymore. It's been knocked down.
We did.
Bonnie Tyler was in there. Like, it was Charlotte Church was in there.
Everyone turns up there, doesn't they?
Yeah, completely. But it was incredible. But it was great because sometimes after big occasions like this, you can splinter off.
Yeah.
But they kept us all together. Family were allowed in after as well. So everyone stayed together. We knew that, these celebrations, it wasn't just going to be one night. We had a Super Sunday as well planned.
Yeah, boys only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the best thing about that was Michael Owen, who was the captain that day, he never ever came out. He wasn't a drinker or anything like that, but he turned up on the Super Sunday in the yard as it was, which was a Brains pub on St Mary Street. Turned up in his Welsh WRU tracksuit, had 2 pints of Guinness with us. They went home. No
one recognised him because he had the scrum on all the time, didn't he? No one knew who he was.
Yeah, there's no commercial value there, is it? Take your scrum hat off.
I know. But you went on, you went off and have a fantastic career, but everything comes to an end. But you retired quite early. I was talking 31 years of age. You had to retire, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was after that Six Nations campaign in 2005, and it was a game against Ulster, because I remember it, and I just changed direction, and I just felt something rip in my knee. And I'd just been selected on the Lions tour as well. I had to sort of do everything covertly because I didn't really want to tell Clive Woodward that, I'd done something to my knee.
You're carrying someone in New Zealand.
I had a little knee operation, and it was the meniscus cartilage, which is the sort of outside of your knee. And I'd torn it, and it wasn't able to be repaired. So it was removed, and then I had to do a lot of rehab.
Yeah, it's on your quads.
Yeah, and then I managed to get myself fit for the Lions tour. Played 3 games on that tour, 3 midweek games. Played the first game against Bay of Plenty, and then New Zealand Maoris, and then it was Southlands. But then I was just, I was having my knee drained 2 days before a game.
Yeah, I think you're conscious of it, because I had to say, I tore my cruciate when I was 19. And towards the end, I was icing it before games, let alone after it, and just trying to manage it to get on the pitch, And
and it was, I hated it because I couldn't fly, with the team, because obviously, flying makes the swelling even worse. I couldn't really go out and socialise because of alcohol as well. But I was just trying everything I could to stay fit, to play.
And you're a social animal as well, aren't you? You'd miss that.
Yeah, I know. I have massive FOMO. But do you remember the incident with Brian O'Driscoll? He got spear tackled, didn't he? And I remember Clive Woodward saying to me, Shanks, if you're fit, you're playing. And John, it was so hard because I was deliberating whether I could, whether I should.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let the team down because I knew I wasn't fit. But looking back now, I wish I'd done it because we got hammered 3-0. At
the age of 31, you're still young, right? How hard was it when you called it a day? Or was it a relief in a way because you didn't have to play through injuries?
It was the easiest thing.
It
was the easiest.
Yeah, you knew.
I just knew because I was never the same player after 2005, after that injury, because I had to take a year out then in 2006 because there was a chance I was never going to play again. Having scans, and the doctor said, look, there's a really good chance you're not going to be able to do it because you've got no cartilage, and it's making it worse, and it's the hole there where it's bone on bone is a lot larger than it was. So that's why I had to take a year out, and Peter Thomas and Cardiff and Di Young were great about that. But I was never the same because I couldn't train as much. You can't do the loading on your legs. No. You can't do the training that you need to do, and then it was just inevitably it was going to happen.
But you look back in your career, you must be very proud of late, as you said, late developer. Then all of a sudden,
massively. And I feel sorry for the guys that maybe don't get that access to playing as much international rugby as they would, or put their names in the hat for a Lions tour. I got selected twice on Lions tour. On 2009, I dislocated my shoulder a week before we met up. Unfortunately, injuries are the negatives about playing professional sport. And you would have had your fair share of injuries as well. You just hope it's not around a big tournament or a big tour.
I think it's a difference between a good player and a great player, and a great player and a world-class player.
Yeah.
Injuries, it's just
and
hard.
the luck. And I look back and I achieved near enough what I wanted to, but I could have gone on 2 Lions tours and been in contention for test spots, and I wasn't. But when I was told by the surgeon that there's no way you can carry on, do you know, it was just pure relief. I thought, right, I don't have to get my knee injected, I don't have to get it drained, I don't have to take any anti-inflammatories, I don't have to put my body through that again. And I was just like, great, because...
Did you have any regrets?
No, not really.
Not going with Woodward and winning the World
Cup.
No,
of course I don't. No, not at all. Do you know what, I look back, the only regrets, maybe I probably could have looked after myself, better, more rehab. I probably could have done, but it wasn't that common back then, Jeff.
Where I played, to when you played, to where it is now, you would never ever have envisaged it, right? Even you look at it from the World Cup that I went to the World Cup now, commercially, participants, television, revenue. You just, you got, and that's what I don't like sometimes. Everyone compares people from different generations, right? I think any player that played in international rugby would have coped with any generation, but you can't really compare them because things are so different.
Yeah, and there's probably an element of professionalism which maybe I look back now. I think I could have maybe looked after my body a bit more and prolonged my career. But then we were all interested in what we're going to wear out after a game.
And also you got to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I know.
At the time it's far more professional now. Yeah, we when we won, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, you have to, don't you?
You've got to do, because you never know. You're one injury away from oblivion.
Yeah.
But into retirement, right? People move kind of smoothly into it, seamlessly into it. Sometimes find it very difficult because you'll never get the highs that you get in sport and changing rooms. And sport is like, funnel whistle goes, you're either down or you're up, right? So how did you find retirement?
Bit lonely to start with because we're not really. I was of a generation where you don't really have any skill sets. You don't have a professional career apart from rugby. So
you have to had to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes,
which I don't agree with anymore, Mike.
No.
It should be...
And I think there's a lot more opportunity now for players to actually study stuff and to get qualifications outside of rugby. But no, it was a bit of right. You finished now. What's next? And Joe Towns messaged me to say, do you want to come and do some Scrum 5 stuff? And I did for a bit, but then I didn't really enjoy it that much. I do now, and I do a lot with Premier Sport now, but back then you're trying to find out and work out the balance, what works and what doesn't. Because you know me, I'm a little bit weird sometimes.
You are very weird.
Yeah, thank you.
Good, nice, a lot of times.
Yeah, nice weird.
Very weird sometimes, yeah.
But after a little bit of Scrum 5 stuff, when I initially retired, I worked for a company called DS Smith, which were sponsors of Cardiff Rugby, and that was great. That was just great for an insight into working life, into business, into being a professional, really. And I learned a lot of skills there, and I really thank Matt Prosser and Tim Price for taking me on there.
Yeah.
Because I think I needed that grounding, and it takes a bit of time. Because I say to a lot of people now, when you retire, you have to try and find something that you're going to enjoy. You've done your dream job, so you're not going to be a rugby player again. But you have to find something you can cope with for the next 15 to 20 years and try different things, because what you start doing straight after rugby might not be what you end with. I found a niche really in the market then in Wales of hospitality.
Yeah.
Because obviously the stadium do it, but that's top dollar. But I sort of sit just below that, and I put a marquee up in Cardiff Arms Park, and we get some wicked guests, and we just try and entertain them from start to finish. Got you coming?
Locker room?
Yeah, locker room. That's what it's called. Yeah.
And it's brilliant. I've been there a few times. It's brilliant. But you've grasped it. You've worked it. You know what you're doing your podcast. You're doing your television and the commentary. But also, you know the business element of it. So you've successfully done the locker room. So I think you're a character. So you can get on with people. You haven't seen much of it today, but you're really funny as well.
I can be. With a couple of pints in my hand.
Who would be a dream centre partner?
My father.
I think you'd have to do most of the work then.
Yeah.
A bit older. If you had to do one reality TV show, which one would you do and why?
I don't think I could do stuff like I'm a Celeb. I just think I could eat like kangaroo balls or something like that. I'm better off cooking them. So MasterChef.
I'd do traitors, I would.
Yeah, you'd be good at that.
Oh yeah.
Knife me straight in the back.
It's not snog, marry, avoid, right? Because that would be an interesting question, obviously. It's our game, which is play, bench, or drop. It's easy. Sarah, Nigel, or
Snog.
me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That was too soon.
Nigel.
Okay. Play. I would have to play you. Cause,
So, yeah.
I would bench Sarah because I reckon she'd come on a bit of X Factor.
Yes.
And obviously drop Nigel.
Good call. What's your biggest ick? What annoys you?
Bad drivers.
Is it?
Yeah, hate bad drivers.
A few of them around.
It's the cringiest thing I've ever done. I had to do a Forrest Gump sketch for you on one of your shows. I had to do the accent and everything.
What's your biggest fear? Going bald?
Biggest fear? Snakes.
Ever been starstruck?
First time I saw Scott Gibbs, first time I saw Jerry Guscott. Those two were my ultimate heroes, because the centre partnership they had for the Lions in '97, it was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Last question. What's the last thing you bought online?
Some fake moustaches for Beaujolais Day.
Right, Tom, thanks for giving your time up. I know you're a very busy, successful businessman, right? So pleasure. Good to see you, mate.
Ooh, expected to be so cold.
Warm heart.